My name is Sophia, and I've always believed in fairy tales, the kind where love conquers all, and happily ever after is just a vow away. I grew up in a world of privilege, the only daughter of a tech mogul whose empire spanned Silicon Valleys and boardrooms across the globe. My father, Victor Harrington, built Harrington Innovations from a garage startup into a billion-dollar behemoth, and with it came the kind of wealth that insulated us from the ordinary struggles of life. Private jets, summer homes in the Hamptons, and a trust fund that could buy small countries. But money can't buy genuine connection, or so I thought until I met Alexander, Alex, as everyone called him. We crossed paths at a charity gala in New York City 5 years ago. I was 28, fresh out of a string of failed relationships with men who saw me as a golden ticket rather than a person. Alex was different. He was a struggling architect, charmingly underdressed in a rented tux, with a smile that lit up the room like a supernova. He didn't know who I was at first. He just struck up a conversation about the abstract art on the walls, critiquing it with a passion that made my heart race. By the end of the night, we were dancing under crystal chandeliers, and I felt seen for the first time in years. He proposed a year later on a cliffside in Santorini, with the Aegean Sea crashing below us. "Sophia," he said, his voice trembling, "you're my everything. Let's build a life together." I said yes without hesitation, convinced I'd found my soulmate. Our wedding was a spectacle, 500 guests, a venue that rivaled Versailles, and a honeymoon in the Maldives that cost more than most people's annual salaries. Alex quit his job to start his own firm, backed by a small loan from my father. Life seemed perfect. We lived in a penthouse overlooking Central Park, hosted dinner parties with influencers and executives, and traveled the world. But cracks appeared slowly, like hairline fractures in fine china. Alex worked late nights, his phone buzzing with mysterious texts. He'd snap at me over trivial things, like the way I organized the kitchen or my habit of buying designer clothes. I chalked it up to stress. After all, building a business from scratch was tough, even with my family's connections pulling strings behind the scenes. Then came that fateful afternoon. It was a crisp autumn day in October, leaves turning gold outside our windows. I was at my yoga class downtown, the kind where influencers pretend to meditate while snapping selfies. Alex called me during my savasana, his voice rushed and apologetic. "Hey, babe, I'm running late for that meeting with the investors. Can you pick up dinner from that Italian place on 5th? Love you." I mumbled a quick, "Sure, love you too," but the line didn't click off. I heard the muffled sounds of traffic, then his car door slamming. Assuming it was a pocket dial, I was about to hang up when I heard him speaking again. Not to me, but to someone else. "Man, you won't believe the day I've had," Alex said, his tone shifting from affectionate to exasperated. There was a pause, then laughter, his and another man's. It sounded like his best friend, Marcus, a sleazy stockbroker type who'd always rubbed me the wrong way. "No, seriously, bro. Our marriage is awful, but I'm only with her because of her family's money. Victor's got me set up for life. Once this firm takes off, I'll cash out and bounce. She's clueless, man. Thinks I'm head over heels." My blood turned to ice. I froze in the middle of the studio, mat under my arm, phone pressed to my ear like a lifeline. The instructor gave me a concerned look, but I bolted out the door, heart pounding. Clueless? Awful? Only for the money? The words echoed in my skull as I hailed a cab, tears blurring the city streets. How could this be? We'd just celebrated our 4th anniversary with a romantic getaway to Paris. He'd whispered sweet nothings in my ear under the Eiffel Tower. Was it all a lie? I got home before him, the penthouse feeling like a gilded cage. I paced the marble floors, replaying the conversation in my mind. Marcus had laughed, saying something like, "Dude, you're playing the long game. Smart move. Her dad's loaded." Alex had chuckled in agreement, then changed the subject to some football game. I didn't confront him right away. No, I needed proof, needed to understand the depth of his betrayal. That night, as he kissed my cheek and complimented the pasta I'd robotically ordered, I smiled through gritted teeth. "How was your meeting?" I asked innocently. "Great. Investors are biting. This could be huge for us.
Us.
The word stung. I nodded, excusing myself early to read in bed. Instead, I scrolled through his phone while he showered, unlocked as always because we have no secrets. There were texts to Marcus, complaints about my nagging, jokes about my shopping habits, and worse, flirty messages to a woman named Lila, his assistant at the firm. Can't wait for our late-night brainstorming session, winking face. One read. My stomach churned. The next few days were a blur of feigned normalcy and covert investigation. I hired a private investigator, Elena Vargas, a no-nonsense woman with a track record of exposing cheaters among the elite. Give me a week, she said over coffee in a discreet cafe. I'll get you the truth. While I waited, I dove into our finances. My family's accountant, Mr. Reynolds, revealed discrepancies. Funds siphoned from the business loan into personal accounts, luxury purchases I hadn't authorized. Alex was living large on Harrington money, but his firm was barely breaking even. It was all smoke and mirrors. Elena's report came faster than expected. Photos. Alex and Lila at a cozy bistro, hands intertwined. More. Him meeting Marcus at a bar, toasting to the scam of the century. Audio clips from a bug she'd planted in his car confirmed the overheard call wasn't a one-off. Sophia's great arm candy, he boasted. But man, the sex is vanilla. Lila knows how to keep things exciting. I vomited in the bathroom after listening, the betrayal slicing deeper than any knife. But anger replaced the hurt. I wasn't going to crumble. My father had raised me to be resilient, to turn adversity into advantage. I confronted Alex that evening, the evidence laid out on our dining table like a prosecutor's exhibit. He walked in, whistling, only to stop dead. What's all this? He stammered. Sit down, Alex, I said, my voice steel. We need to talk about how our marriage is awful and you're only in it for the money. His face paled. Soph, it's not what you think. That was just guy talk, blowing off steam. Guy talk. With evidence of embezzlement and an affair? I slid the photos toward him. He crumbled, tears flowing, crocodile tears, I realized. Please, baby, I love you. It was a mistake. Lila means nothing. I laughed, a bitter sound. Love? You don't know the meaning. Pack your bags. You're out. He begged, promised therapy, swore he'd change. But I was done. The divorce papers were served the next day, my lawyers, the best money could buy, ensuring he got nothing. No alimony, no stake in the firm, which I dissolved, nothing but the clothes on his back. My father cut all ties, blacklisting him in every industry circle. Alex's friends vanished like smoke. In the months that followed, I rebuilt. Therapy helped unpack the trauma, friends rallied around me, and I threw myself into philanthropy, using my inheritance to fund women's shelters and startups for underprivileged entrepreneurs. I even started dating again, cautiously, with men who signed ironclad prenups. But the real twist came 6 months later. A knock on my door. Marcus, looking sheepish. Sophia, I need to talk. Alex, he wasn't just using you. It was a plan from the start. Turns out, Alex and Marcus had met me intentionally at that gala. They'd researched wealthy heiresses, targeted me. Marcus had evidence, emails, plans to prove it. Why confess? Alex had stiffed him on his cut, and revenge is a dish best served cold. I used it all in court, turning a simple divorce into a fraud case. Alex ended up with a 2-year sentence for embezzlement, his reputation in tatters. Lila? She ghosted him the moment the money dried up. Now, 2 years on, I'm thriving. My name is Sophia Harrington, and I've learned that fairy tales are for children. Real life is about strength, not saviors. If you're reading this, trust your gut. Sometimes, the prince is just a frog in disguise. And sometimes, the princess saves herself.